Uli Jon Roth. You're listening to Sonic Perspectives. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, it's Rodrigo here, reporting from Toronto, Canada. If you're a classic rock fan, there's plenty to be excited for now, because I have on the phone here one of the most creative guitar players of our time, Mr. Uli Jon Roth. Uli, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Enjoying the Toronto sunshine at the moment. It wasn't earlier, but I see the first rays of sun coming.
Yeah. I think you brought the sun, because we had some pretty bad days recently. So
I don't know if I brought it because our last days weren't so hot either. You know, we were down south in Michigan, and no, it was pretty rough.
Well, I understand you're doing a tour now, which was supposed to happen in the second half of last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so why were those shows postponed?
It was because you see, in Canada, there's never a problem with a work visa, but America, the US is a different matter. Work visas are increasingly difficult to get because I think they're overworked or whatever. It just takes forever. And we had applied on time, everything, but somehow they didn't come through. And so no fault of ours. And we were forced to cancel the tour. And then literally a day after we canceled, the visa came through.
Oh, my God.
But it was too late by then because we had already lost like 10 shows, etc. And the tour wouldn't have been viable. It was one of these things. You know, now I have a longer running visa, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, this time you're celebrating 50 years on stage. You're doing the triple anniversary tour, right? So tell us what that entails.
Yes. 50 years ago, I had my first show. That was at the end of 1968 in December, when I was a young teenager of 13 years old. And, of course, it's been quite a long journey since then, and I'm still playing on stage. And we thought that would be a good anniversary to celebrate, you know, and celebrate it by playing all sorts of music from my past, from my musical journey, you know, through the years, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So we're playing a pretty long show. It's almost 3 hours long with an intermission, but apparently it doesn't feel that long. So we're not having any complaints, and it really works night after night.
Yeah, and I also noticed there's some exclusive meet and greet package where you actually play a show just before your show, right?
Yes, that's for the people who can't get enough of the guitar playing. We are actually doing something quite different, and that is we're playing a piece of mine which is called Metamorphosis, and that's based on the Vivaldi's Four Seasons. It's a concerto, you know, which I'm playing on the guitar, and it's one of my favorites, and normally I don't get to play it. So actually we're doing that every day in the late afternoon. You know, today is 5 o'clock, and that's going very well. Also, but it's a completely different kind of piece of music. It's very virtuoso melodic guitar playing, you know.
I see.
I don't really have anything like that one in the main program.
So tell us who else is in the band with you this time.
It's pretty much the same band that I brought last time, except for the drummer. We got Nicholas Torman on vocals and guitar. He's been with me for quite a few years now. Corvin Barn on keyboards. David Kozinski also on guitar. We've got 3 lead guitars, which is quite exciting. We can do all these triple harmony leads, which nobody seems to be doing anymore, but that's always a highlight in the show when we do these. Yeah, and then on bass we've got Nico Depesh, who was also with us before in the States and in Canada. And on drums we have Richard Kirk from England. Okay.
And looking back on your 50-year career, do you have any regrets? And what would you say was the highest point?
Certainly I've done a few things wrong here and there strategically. So yes, I do have a few regrets, but they're more on a minor scale, you know. And highest points, I've got some like almost every year. I've had a lot during my life, and I'm glad about that, you know. So there are always some shows that really stick in your mind as extra special for various reasons, not just because of the playing, but also because of where it is and how it's received, etc., etc., etc. You know.
I see.
So yeah, it's not something I want to pick out now because there've been too many others.
Yeah. You were a part of the G3 tour a while back. What was that experience like?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. You know, it was already the second time that I was a G3 member. Did a big tour with Satriani and Schenker 20 years ago, and now it was Joe Satriani and John Petrucci. We went all over Europe last year, and it was a really enjoyable experience. The tour was great. We had really nice audiences, and musically we got on very well. But also, just as importantly, we got on well as human beings, you know, off stage. A really nice time for all of us. So, yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah. And you've been very vocal about how poor the music industry is today and the musical output is today. But are there any guitar players in the new generation that you came to admire or not?
Guitar players, well, there are a lot of really good players out there, you know. But I don't have anybody particularly on my radar because I'm not really someone who's that interested in guitar playing these days, I have to admit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not really my specialty. I do my own kind of thing, the guitar playing, and that's fine with me. And I'm following my own path in that. But little out there that really speaks to me because I don't know. I tend to be more impressed with people who come with a bit of a musical message, you know. And usually just good guitar playing alone doesn't really do it for me. There needs to be a little bit more than that.
I see.
And nowadays that doesn't seem to be so much in vogue.
Yeah.
And yeah, being vocal about it, it's basically normally I don't even talk about any of that. You know, it's just because interviewers like yourself keep asking, you know, what kind of music can you recommend, you know, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like the worst address for this because I pretty much don't know what's going on. It's I tend to keep away from that because I don't know, I've lost interest a long time ago. But that doesn't mean that my mind is closed, you know. If something comes to me or if I get to hear someone, you know, festival or so, yeah, it would I would embrace it.
And, well, you have a grueling schedule when it comes to touring. Do you find time to compose on the road and to write? Is it an inspiring environment for you or not?
No, very little. The time is really carved up so much. I do get to think, and I love thinking. That's kind of like a precursor to. It's also a form of creativity because I come up with new ideas, you know.
Okay.
But real music writing, I prefer to do that in my peace and quiet at home, you know. And on the road, my resources are really pretty much stretched to the limit with the time schedule. You know, every day, we have like, I don't know how many, public events. Like, we have the two shows, the Metamorphosis, then we have the 3-hour show, then we have at least two meet and greets, sometimes three of a different nature, you know. Like we were in St. Charles the other day, and it was a really long day. I had interviews, then I had the pre-show Metamorphosis for an hour, then I had the 3-hour show, then there were 3 meet and greets, one for the venue, 1 hour, so altogether like 60 people or something like this. And I do tend to take a long time with each person because I don't want to just say hello, goodbye, and out, you know. So usually, very often, I'm in bed by 3:30, like yesterday, for instance, and the day before, and then you're scrambling for time, you know. So during the daytime, I sometimes take power naps because it's the only way I can do it without getting sick.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. But other than, I'm not complaining because I do enjoy being challenged like that, and we're really having a blast. It is my best North American tour so far, and we're really enjoying it, you know. But it's also physically the most grueling, easily, because we have over 40 shows and we're only halfway through. Yeah. And it already feels like an eternity.
Oh, well. And, well, on this tour, you're also revisiting part of your history with the Scorpions with the highlights from the Tokyo tapes, right?
Sure.
Looking back on the history with Scorpions, what would have made you stay back then in the band?
What would have made me stay? Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing could have made me stay. No. My time was up because I started to write music that really didn't fit the Scorpions anymore. And I was very aware of that. And that's what I wanted to write, you know, stuff like Earthquake or, you know, Electric Sun and stuff like that. That was not Scorpions music. So, no, nothing could have made me stay. Maybe I could have stayed a little bit longer, you know, and maybe I could have done both, you know, do Electric Sun as a solo project on the side. Some people advised me to do that. And nowadays I would probably be able to do that because I'm more flexible and quicker in some respects, but back then that was not an option.
I see. And tell me about the guitars you're using this time, and please tell me you're bringing out the Sky guitar. Yeah,
no, I mean, not just this time. I mean, I've had Sky guitars since the early 80s, and that's my main guitar, you know. I'm playing 2 new prototypes on this tour, or actually make that 3 prototypes. We're constantly refining the Sky guitars because I've founded my own little company called UJR Sky Guitars. And we're selling them to order on the internet, you know. We're not going through any shops or so. And it's a small operation because they're all hand-built, and we have a 1-year waiting list, you know, and they're very expensive. But the upside of that is that I get to play new prototypes. We can always experiment and make them even better, you know. And on this tour, I've got one new guitar called Excalibur, and that is pretty much the best Sky guitar I've ever had. It's an unbelievable instrument. And so it's so good that I'm playing it during the entire first set, although I should, because it's a 7-string and a lot of the pieces were written for 6-string. But I just love that one so much that I'm doing it anyways.
And in terms of set list, what can we expect aside from the highlights from the Tokyo tapes and the highlights from your solo career?
Well, we're doing quite a few Electric Sun songs, from Beyond the Astral Skies and Firewind and a little bit from Earthquake. So that is one chunk of the proceedings. Other than that, we're also doing a little bit from Transcendental Sky Guitar, so my more virtuoso stuff like Sky Overture, then a little bit of Sky of Avalon, which is Starlight, and we're also playing a couple of Hendrix pieces every night, or at least one.
Mm-hmm.
And one piece we're playing, which I played on that first night, 50 years ago. It's a piece by the Shadows. It's called Apache. And we're doing that. I brought my original guitar, the guitar that I played it on, my first ever guitar. I brought it to Canada.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And that's, I really enjoy doing that little spot. And I'm also doing a 15-minute acoustic set on, I've got an 8-string classical sky guitar, which I'm playing solo. And that's pretty much it,
Okay.
It's a lot of music.
Oh, wow, man. A 3-hour set. Jesus. That's quite
Yeah, well, it has, it's not quite 3 hours. There is
intermission.
An intermission in the middle, so it's a little bit less, but it's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And, after this tour, what will be the next step in your career? Can we see a new studio album in the works, or?
Yeah, I've written a new studio album, and I've written an acoustic album. Both need to be recorded as soon as possible, In September, I'll be playing a big orchestra show in Athens at the Acropolis. And I'm really looking forward to that,
Oh, wow, that would be amazing, man.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
At the Rodion.
Oh,
it's
okay.
basically an amphitheater at the foot of the Acropolis.
Oh, I see. Oh, that would be amazing, man. Well, Uli, thank you so much for your time, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage in a few hours from now.
Cool.
Okay?
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. Have a great show, man. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Uli Jon Roth. I am Rodrigo Altaf for Sonic Perspectives, reminding you to follow us on the usual social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm going to leave you now with Uli's song Electric Sun from the album Earthquake. Take care and rock on.
dreams. Be round before sunrise, who turns out to be